Okay, welcome back to math class. You might remember yesterday we talked about multiplying and dividing exponents. Specifically when it came to dividing, we were doing, it looked like this, a to the 5th over a squared, right? As we did yesterday. And we did 5 minus 2, which gave us a to the 3rd. Some of you might have already been thinking of this, but what happens if the exponent on bottom is bigger? What if instead of a to the 5th over a to the 2nd, it was like a to the 3rd over a to the 6th? That one's bigger. I'm going to have a to the 3 minus 6, which is going to give me a to the negative 3rd. What does that even mean, having a negative exponent? Well, let's work it out the way we have been. If I take a to the 3rd over a to the 6th, and I factor that out, I'm going to get a times a times a, right? 3 a's. And then I take a to the 6th, and I'm going to get a times a times a times a times a times a. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I have a over a. Those a divided by a is 1, so those cancel out. Again, a divided by a is 1, so those cancel out. A divided by a is 1, so those cancel out. What I'm left with is 3 a's on the bottom. So what we get is just 1 on top, right? And 3 a's on the bottom. So anytime I see a negative exponent, a to the negative 3rd, I know that I can rewrite it as 1 over a to the 3rd. So you can still subtract just like we were yesterday. But when you get a negative number at the end, you can rewrite it like this: 1 over a to the 3rd. Anytime, no matter what it is, if you see x to the negative 2, you know that equals 1 over x squared. If it was a number, if I had 3 to the negative 4th, I know that that is the same as 1 over 3 to the 4th, no matter what it is. Similarly, if I gave you one that looked like that already, 1 divided by, if I gave you 1 divided by, x squared, then you would know already that you could rewrite that as x to the negative 2nd. And that these mean the same thing, no matter which way you're going, no matter which one I ask for, if I ask you for it in fraction form or not. Either way works the same. Also, one more thing. What happens if we have coefficients? What happens if it looks like this? 4 times x to the negative 3. Now we know in our heads that when we see 4 times x to the negative 3, that's the same as 4 times x to the negative 3, right? Now we've just discovered that when we have a negative exponent, we can rewrite it as a fraction with our power as the denominator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite that as 4 times 1 over x to the 3rd, right? And now because I have 4 times 1 over something, I can rewrite that as 4 divided by x to the 3rd. Hopefully everybody sees how that happened. We just took our x and put it in the denominator just like we did with all these other problems, but you have to still multiply your 4 in the end to get your whole monomial.